Hello Golden State Warriors fans, we are here once again to bring you the latest news related to our team, and I would like to emphasize how committed we are to improving our performance to achieve great results. Before we dive into this intriguing news, I kindly request you to show your support by clicking the like button, and if you are not yet subscribed to our channel, I invite you all to join us on an exciting journey. Remember to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything.
Jonathan Kuminga reportedly has preferred trade destination amid Warriors' stalemate. All eyes have been on the Golden State Warriors this offseason, with fans and analysts alike waiting to see how the franchise would reshape its future. But so far, the one move many expected, a trade involving rising star Jonathan Kuminga, still hasn't happened. And now, a new layer has been added to the saga. According to NBA insider Mark Spears, Kuminga has a clear preference for where he wants to go, the Sacramento Kings. He wants out, Spears revealed. The Kings are offering him a starting spot at power forward, alongside Keegan Murray and Domantas Sabonis. He had a Zoom call with GM Scotty Perry, assistant GM BJ Armstrong, and their head coach. He's in. He wants to be there. That level of clarity from a young player is rare, and it says a lot. Kuminga, still just 21, clearly sees Sacramento as a place where he can grow, start fresh, and be part of something special. The Kings are on the rise, and the chance to join a core that already includes De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, and Murray could be exactly what Kuminga needs to unlock his full potential. Meanwhile, things in Golden State have hit a frustrating standstill. Not only have the Warriors not traded Kuminga, but they've also failed to sign a key star in free agency, leaving gaps at both the center position and in their overall depth chart. The tension surrounding Kuminga's situation has only added to the uncertainty. As days pass and training camp creeps closer, there's growing concern that the Warriors may have waited too long to get the best return for their former lottery pick. What was once a position of leverage is now starting to feel like a missed opportunity. And if Kuminga begins the season still wearing a Warriors jersey, after making it clear he wants out, the locker room dynamic could become even more complicated. Kuminga's frustration isn't coming out of nowhere. Despite showing flashes of brilliance and athleticism, he struggled to find consistent minutes or a defined role in Steve Kerr's system, a system built around veterans and experience. With a young core in Sacramento, he sees an opportunity to start, to contribute meaningfully, and to finally play with freedom. The clock is ticking. If the Warriors don't move Kuminga soon, they risk alienating a young player who could thrive elsewhere, and missing out on potential trade value that's slipping by the day. For now, Golden State seems unwilling to accept Sacramento's first-round pick in return. But how long can they afford to hold their ground? Kuminga is ready for his next chapter. The only question now is whether the Warriors are ready to let him go. An uncomfortable silence in Golden State. Internally, sources close to the Warriors suggest the front office is divided on what to do with Kuminga. Some still see him as a future cornerstone, a player with elite athleticism, untapped offensive potential, and a ceiling that rivals some of the best wings in the league. Others, however, are beginning to view him as a poor fit for the current timeline of the roster, especially as the team tries to squeeze one last title run out of an aging core led by Stephen Curry and Draymond Green. The problem? The Warriors are trying to contend and rebuild at the same time, a nearly impossible balance to maintain. And Kuminga, stuck between those two realities, has grown restless. While Sacramento has made their interest clear, offering a starting role and a clear path to development, Golden State seems hesitant to pull the trigger unless they receive a more substantial return. Reports suggest they're not sold on accepting only a future first-round pick, even if that means risking locker room tension and a disgruntled player on opening night. The Kings pitch, a clear path forward. From Kuminga's perspective, Sacramento is more than just a team offering minutes, it's a team offering purpose. Head coach Mike Brown, who has a prior relationship with Kuminga from his time as an assistant in Golden State, has reportedly pushed hard behind the scenes to bring him in. The Kings see Kuminga as the perfect athletic complement to their current core, and they're confident they can offer the one thing he's been missing in Golden State: consistent opportunity. And it's not just talk. Kuminga has already had direct Zoom meetings with the Kings' key decision-makers, including GM Scotty Perry, assistant GM BJ Armstrong, and the entire coaching staff. According to sources, those conversations left a strong impression on both sides. Kuminga didn't just listen, he engaged, said one team insider. He asked questions about the system, his potential role, what's expected of him. He's serious about this move. Fan reaction and league buzz. The rumor mill is spinning fast. Kings fans are buzzing with excitement over the potential addition of a high-upside forward, especially one as explosive and defensively gifted as Kuminga. On the other hand, Warriors fans are split. Some are frustrated the team might lose a young talent before he's fully developed, while others believe it's time to cash in while his value is still relatively high. NBA analysts are chiming in too. ESPN's Brian Windhorst recently said on the Hoop Collective, "If Golden State doesn't move him soon, they risk another Jordan Poole situation, a young guy who clearly doesn't feel valued and ends up being more of a distraction than a contributor." What happens next? The ball is now firmly in Golden State's court. Do they try to repair the relationship and find a way to make Kuminga a bigger part of their plans moving forward? Or do they accept that the timeline mismatch is too great and find the best possible return now, even if it's not what they initially hoped for? Either way, the clock is ticking. Because once a player goes public with their preference, once they start looking elsewhere with intent, the situation rarely turns back around. And if the Warriors aren't careful, they may not just lose a trade. They may lose the trust of the next generation of stars they've tried so hard to build. Suns trade offer for Warriors Jonathan Kuminga revealed, and it's not pretty. The situation between Jonathan Kuminga and the Golden State Warriors has become more complicated by the day, and now we're finally getting a clearer picture of what's happening behind the scenes. Kuminga, still a restricted free agent, remains in limbo as the Warriors and his camp remain far apart on contract negotiations. Sources say Kuminga is seeking a larger payday than the Warriors are willing to offer, and truthfully, neither side seems eager to continue the relationship. A clean break and a fresh start somewhere else appears to be the most realistic and mutually beneficial solution. In response, Golden State has begun exploring sign-and-trade scenarios, hoping to move Kuminga to a team willing to invest in his upside. Several teams have expressed interest, including the Chicago Bulls, Sacramento Kings, and Phoenix Suns. But so far, none of the offers have moved the needle, especially in the eyes of the Warriors front office. According to Shams Charania and Anthony Slater of ESPN, the Suns have made what's reportedly the most aggressive sign-and-trade push for Kuminga. And now, thanks to reporting from Mark J. Spears, we know exactly what Phoenix is offering. "I'm hearing the Suns are offering Royce O'Neal, Nick Richards, and 4 second-round picks," Spears said on NBA Today. "That's not exactly an eye-popping package." To put it bluntly, the Warriors aren't impressed. They've made it clear, while they won't overpay to keep Kuminga, they're also not going to give him away for spare parts. From their perspective, the Suns' offer falls short on both talent and long-term value. Caught in the middle. This tug-of-war has left Kuminga stuck in an awkward spot. On one hand, he's a high-upside 21-year-old forward who's shown flashes of stardom, a player who could thrive with a new system and a larger role. On the other hand, the Warriors are holding firm on his perceived value, even though his trade market hasn't been as strong as they once believed. Therein lies the problem. If Golden State waits too long and the market continues to cool, they may get nothing in return. And for a former top 10 pick who still has room to grow, that would be a bitter outcome for a franchise that's already lost young talent in recent years. What's next? The clock is ticking, and both sides know it. The longer the standoff drags on, the more the Warriors risk losing leverage, and the more Kuminga's camp grows frustrated with the stalemate. The Suns may revisit their offer with slight improvements, or another team may step in with a more appealing package. But unless something changes soon, the Warriors could be forced to choose between taking less than they hoped, or losing a young asset for nothing. Kuminga wants a new opportunity. The Warriors want fair value. But in today's market, those two things may not align, and the consequences could shape both their futures. The ripples beyond the trade talk. The implications of this ongoing Kuminga standoff go far beyond just one player and one contract. For the Warriors, who are in a delicate phase of balancing veteran championship aspirations with the need to develop young talent, this situation highlights a broader challenge: how to manage a roster in transition. Golden State's hesitance to move Kuminga for what they see as undervalued return speaks to their desire to build a sustainable future. But the reality is that the longer this drags on, the more it risks backfiring. If Kuminga starts the season disgruntled or worse, sidelined, it could disrupt team chemistry and morale, two intangible factors critical for a team with title ambitions. For the Suns, their offer reveals something important about their current roster strategy. Offering multiple second-round picks and role players like Royce O'Neal and Nick Richards suggests they're taking a low-risk gamble on potential upside rather than going all in for a sure star. It also reflects the salary cap constraints and roster-building puzzle Phoenix is facing. Meanwhile, Kuminga himself is watching closely. This is a critical moment in his young career. The opportunity to find a team that will give him consistent minutes and a clear role could make or break his trajectory in the NBA. His preferred destination isn't just about money, it's about development, fit, and future success. League-wide perspectives. Across the league, executives and insiders are watching the situation unfold as a cautionary tale about managing young restricted free agents. The balance between paying for potential versus performance is tricky, especially when players and teams have different visions for the future. Some NBA analysts argue the Warriors might need to reconsider their valuation of Kuminga, especially if the market continues to cool. Others believe that patience might pay off if Kuminga's value rebounds with a strong start to the season. One thing is clear, the NBA landscape is shifting, and situations like Kuminga's are becoming more common. With rookie contracts, extensions, and player empowerment becoming bigger factors, teams must adapt quickly or risk losing valuable assets for less than they deserve. What to watch next? Will the Warriors soften their trade demands or continue to hold out for a better offer? Can the Suns or another interested team come back with a more enticing package? How will Kuminga respond? Will he keep his focus sharp amid the uncertainty, or will frustration take its toll? And ultimately, what does this mean for the Warriors' championship window and rebuilding timeline? As the new NBA season approaches, all eyes will be on Golden State and Jonathan Kuminga, a relationship at a crossroads, with big stakes for both the player's future and the franchise's direction. Steph Curry's ambitious off-court project drops first teaser. Being an entrepreneur is nothing new for NBA stars. From Michael Jordan to Kobe Bryant and LeBron James, basketball legends have continuously found exciting ways to expand their influence beyond the court. Who would have expected Kobe Bryant to win an Oscar in 2018 for his animated short film Dear Basketball? Yet somehow he did. Now, it's Steph Curry's turn to follow in those groundbreaking footsteps. On Monday morning, Curry unveiled the first official trailer for his upcoming animated film GOAT, produced in partnership with Sony Pictures Animation, the same studio behind the blockbuster Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse. Curry is credited not only as a producer but as a visionary bringing this project to life. According to Sony Pictures Animation's official synopsis, from the creators of Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse comes GOAT, an original action comedy set in an all-animal world. The story follows Will, a determined little goat with big dreams, who gets a once-in-a-lifetime shot to join the pros and play Roarball, a high-intensity, full-contact sport ruled by the fastest and fiercest animals around. Will's new teammates aren't thrilled about having a goat on the roster, but he's set on revolutionizing the game and proving once and for all that the small guys can ball too. GOAT is set to release in February 2026, perfectly timed to coincide with the NBA All-Star Game, which will take place in Los Angeles next season. While nothing official has been announced about a promotional partnership, this seems like the ideal moment to launch Curry's latest venture into storytelling and entertainment. Meanwhile, off the court, the Golden State Warriors still face a pressing dilemma with Jonathan Kuminga, a reminder that while Curry expands his empire, the team continues to navigate challenges on the court. As Steph Curry steps boldly into the entertainment world, GOAT isn't just another animated film. It represents a growing trend of athletes leveraging their star power to create inspiring stories that resonate beyond sports. This project signals Curry's commitment to inspiring the next generation, showing that determination and heart can overcome even the biggest odds, a message that echoes his own journey on the basketball court. The film's release timing, aligned with the NBA All-Star Weekend in Los Angeles, could also hint at bigger plans. Industry insiders speculate that Curry may use this high-profile event to host exclusive screenings, fan experiences, or even special collaborations, further cementing his status as not just a basketball icon but a cultural force. On the Warriors' side, Curry's off-court success comes amid ongoing roster questions. The franchise's unresolved situation with Jonathan Kuminga remains a key storyline as the offseason progresses. Kuminga's uncertain future and the team's strategic decisions will play a significant role in shaping Golden State's ability to contend for championships in the coming years. This juxtaposition, Curry expanding his personal brand while the Warriors face internal challenges, highlights the complex dynamics NBA teams navigate today. Superstar players are not only athletes but entrepreneurs, activists, and storytellers, all while their teams manage competitive and financial pressures. For fans, GOAT offers a fresh glimpse of Curry's personality and values, reinforcing why he remains one of the league's most beloved figures. For the Warriors, it's a reminder that while on-court chemistry and talent are vital, the personalities and ambitions of their stars can drive the franchise's narrative in unexpected and exciting directions. As the countdown to February 2026 begins, all eyes will be on Steph Curry, not just to watch his three-point shots but to see how he continues to reshape what it means to be a modern sports superstar. Two losers have already emerged in the Jonathan Kuminga, Golden State Warriors standoff. The standoff between Jonathan Kuminga and the Golden State Warriors continues to drag into August, with no resolution in sight. And as things stand, both sides are already taking losses. Recent reports suggest that Kuminga turned down a 2-year, $45 million extension offer from the Warriors, holding out for a larger payday. He's reportedly seeking closer to $30 million per year, well above what Golden State currently has on the table. Meanwhile, the Warriors have reportedly declined sign-and-trade options with the Sacramento Kings and Phoenix Suns, unhappy with what they'd be getting in return. They weren't even interested in a potential deal involving former All-Star DeMar DeRozan, preferring to keep Kuminga unless a significantly better offer came along. But for Kuminga, it's not just about the money. He reportedly took issue with the contract structure, particularly the team option for the second year, and is pushing for a no-trade clause to have more control over his future. A no-win situation. As the standoff drags on, it's becoming clear that neither side is benefiting. Kuminga is risking guaranteed money and leverage, while the Warriors are losing precious time in free agency and the trade market. By rejecting $45 million in guaranteed salary, Kuminga is making a big gamble. There's no guarantee another team will meet his contract demands, and as a restricted free agent, Golden State can match any outside offer, severely limiting his options. The Warriors, for their part, appear unwilling to keep entertaining sign-and-trade proposals and may force Kuminga into a choice: take their offer or sign a 1-year, $7.9 million qualifying offer and become an unrestricted free agent next summer. But that qualifying offer brings its own risks. It's a massive pay cut and puts enormous pressure on Kuminga to perform at a high level all season, without the guarantee of more minutes or an expanded role. Any dip in performance or an untimely injury could seriously damage his long-term value. Golden State's flexibility is drying up. The Warriors are also paying a price. Their off-season plans are effectively on hold until the Kuminga situation is resolved. Reportedly, they've hit pause on pursuing players like Al Horford and DeAnthony Melton, unsure how much roster flexibility they'll ultimately have. Time is slipping away in both the free agent and trade markets. The longer the uncertainty drags on, the fewer viable options remain for Golden State to upgrade their roster. Kuminga, once seen as a high-upside asset, is now a potential liability. The Warriors don't want to trade him for less than what they believe he's worth, but their asking price may not reflect his actual market value. If Kuminga does take the qualifying offer, he gains the power to veto any mid-season trade, removing one of Golden State's few levers of control. And if he walks in 2026 as an unrestricted free agent, the Warriors would lose a former lottery pick they've spent years developing, for nothing in return. That would be a disastrous outcome for a franchise trying to stay competitive while managing its future. Losing Kuminga with no compensation would reflect poorly on their asset management and player development strategies. The clock is ticking. With training camp approaching fast, the pressure is mounting. Every day that passes without a deal weakens both sides' positions. Kuminga's leverage is shrinking fast as teams fill their rosters and cap space dries up. The Warriors, meanwhile, are missing out on chances to improve their team while stuck in limbo. This impasse helps no one. It's already hurting both parties, and the longer it lasts, the more damage it does. If they want to avoid a lose-lose outcome, both sides will need to make real compromises, and soon. Tension grows inside the locker room and front office. While the contract stalemate is playing out in the headlines, sources close to the organization suggest that the uncertainty is starting to affect team dynamics. Teammates and coaches are reportedly frustrated by the lack of clarity around Kuminga's role, which could complicate training camp preparations and overall team chemistry. Head coach Steve Kerr has publicly voiced support for Kuminga in the past, praising his development and athletic upside. However, behind the scenes, there's growing concern over whether the young forward is fully aligned with the team's vision, or if he even wants to be there long-term. Some within the organization believe Kuminga's camp is positioning for a clean break in 2026, and that's starting to color how the team evaluates his future. Veteran leaders on the roster are also said to be uneasy. With a championship window rapidly narrowing around aging stars like Stephen Curry and Draymond Green, every off-season misstep matters. The Warriors simply can't afford to let valuable time and flexibility slip away on contract disputes, especially with Western Conference rivals making bold moves to improve. League-wide interest cooling off? Kuminga's camp has reportedly reached out to other teams to gauge interest, but the response has been lukewarm. While many teams admire his athleticism, versatility, and potential, they're wary of his contract expectations and the limitations of restricted free agency. Front offices around the league are also watching how Golden State handles the situation. One executive reportedly called the standoff a cautionary tale about asset management and player empowerment in the new CBA era. The tension highlights how difficult it is to bridge the gap between what a player thinks he's worth and what the market, or his current team, is willing to pay. A deal still possible, but clock is ticking. Despite the current impasse, there remains a narrow path to a deal. Some insiders believe that if the Warriors restructured their offer to include partial guarantees or performance incentives instead of a strict team option, it could bring Kuminga back to the table. On the other hand, Kuminga might be more inclined to accept a slightly lower number if it came with a no-trade clause or a shorter commitment that would give him more control over his future. Still, time is running out. If no progress is made in the coming weeks, both sides may have no choice but to go the qualifying offer route, a move that could sour relations long-term and lead to a full separation down the road. What's at stake? This isn't just a negotiation over dollars. It's a high-stakes decision that could reshape the trajectory of both a promising young player and a dynasty-era franchise trying to squeeze out one more title run. For Kuminga, the next move could define his career, whether he proves himself as a future star in Golden State or gambles on a breakout season elsewhere. For the Warriors, it's about more than just retaining a player. It's about protecting an asset, keeping their title hopes alive, and showing they can still develop and retain young talent in the post-Durant era. The longer this standoff drags on, the harder it becomes to fix. One side needs to blink, or both may end up regretting how it all played out. Warriors push back on DeMar DeRozan trade in ongoing Jonathan Kuminga saga. The Golden State Warriors find themselves in an increasingly complex situation with Jonathan Kuminga, one that continues to evolve with every passing week. While the young forward dreams of a bigger role and all-star recognition, the path forward is far from clear. Despite his desire to explore new opportunities, Kuminga has yet to receive a single offer in restricted free agency. And with Golden State holding all the leverage, thanks to their right to match any offer, it's becoming evident that any move will likely need to come via sign and trade. Sacramento Kings show interest, but deal faces roadblocks. The Sacramento Kings have emerged as a potential trade partner. They've shown interest in acquiring Kuminga, but there's a catch. Golden State reportedly has no desire to send him to their division rival, especially not for what's currently on the table. According to Sam Amick of The Athletic, the Warriors have zero interest in including either DeMar DeRozan or rookie Devin Carter in a potential deal with the Kings. DeRozan, acquired recently by Sacramento, was seen as a possible trade chip, but Golden State isn't biting. My understanding is the Warriors weren't interested in Carter or DeRozan, Amick shared on the Warriors Plus Minus podcast. And as of a couple of weeks ago, the Kings weren't willing to pay Kuminga into the $20 million range, average annual value. This makes things even more complicated. While the Kings were reportedly willing to move DeRozan if it meant landing Kuminga, the Warriors' disinterest in the proposed return effectively shuts the door, for now. Kuminga's price tag might be too high for everyone. At the heart of the standoff is Kuminga's reported asking price, around $30 million per year. So far, neither the Warriors nor the Kings appear willing to go near that number. And with most teams already operating close to the salary cap, it's unlikely anyone else swoops in with a competitive offer. That leaves Kuminga in a difficult spot. He clearly believes he's worth more, both financially and in terms of opportunity, but the market hasn't validated that belief yet. As things stand, he may have no choice but to settle for a shorter or lower value deal than he was hoping for. The clock is ticking for everyone. While Kuminga is reportedly open to playing in Sacramento, it's clear the financial expectations from both sides remain miles apart. And with no offers in free agency, his options are narrowing by the day. For the Warriors, the risk is equally real. The longer they wait, the greater the chance that another team finds a creative way to snatch Kuminga away, or worse, that this entire process fractures the relationship beyond repair. Losing a former lottery pick for nothing would be a massive blow for a franchise that has invested years into his development. If Golden State believes they won't meet Kuminga's long-term expectations, the smartest move may be to re-sign him now and work out a deal before the trade deadline. That way, they retain control over the process, and at least get something of value in return. What happens next? Both sides are playing a delicate game of leverage. Kuminga wants to bet on himself, but the longer he waits, the riskier that bet becomes. The Warriors want to retain value, but their unwillingness to engage on DeRozan or Carter signals they're not interested in a quick fix. The pressure is mounting. With training camp around the corner, the need for resolution is only growing stronger. Whether it ends in a new deal, a trade, or a temporary truce via qualifying offer, this story is far from over. One thing is certain, both Kuminga and the Warriors need to act soon, before indecision turns into a long-term regret. Frustration mounts within Warriors' front office. Behind closed doors, sources say the Warriors' front office is growing increasingly frustrated with how the Kuminga negotiations have unfolded. What initially seemed like a straightforward extension for a promising young player has turned into a drawn-out, public power struggle. And it's beginning to test the patience of top decision-makers in the organization. There's a growing sense that Kuminga's camp may have overplayed its hand. While his athletic potential and flashes of brilliance are undeniable, league executives are reportedly concerned about his consistency, maturity, and fit within structured systems, factors that may explain the lack of aggressive pursuit from other teams. Golden State, meanwhile, is navigating an internal tug-of-war, wanting to stay competitive in the short term while also planning for a post-Steph Curry future. Kuminga was supposed to be a bridge between eras, but the longer the impasse drags on, the less certain that becomes. Locker room dynamics could shift. In addition to the front office tensions, the unresolved situation is beginning to echo in the locker room. Several veterans, particularly those still chasing another championship ring, are reportedly uneasy about how this saga is unfolding. There's concern that if Kuminga returns under a qualifying offer or a mid-trade speculation, it could create distractions during training camp and strain team chemistry. For a team already balancing high expectations and internal pressure, uncertainty around a key rotation player is far from ideal. Steve Kerr and his coaching staff now face the challenge of preparing two versions of the upcoming season, one with Kuminga as a motivated contributor, and one where his role is limited or in flux. Around the league, mixed signals and cautious optimism. Across the NBA, Kuminga's situation is being closely watched, not just by rival teams, but also by agents, young players, and front offices monitoring how restricted free agency is evolving under the new collective bargaining agreement. One Western Conference executive called the standoff a test case for the modern dynamics of team control versus player empowerment. Another noted that while Kuminga has upside, his market value hasn't caught up to the narrative his camp is pushing. That said, not all hope is lost for a resolution. A few teams, such as the Orlando Magic, Utah Jazz, and Brooklyn Nets, are reportedly still monitoring the situation in case it shifts. Should one of those teams clear cap space or find the right assets to build a sign-and-trade deal, the landscape could change quickly. What Golden State risks by waiting too long? Golden State's reluctance to accept lesser trade packages, like the Kings' offer involving DeRozan or Carter, might reflect smart asset management on the surface. But if the standoff continues and Kuminga accepts the one-year qualifying offer, the Warriors could face a much worse outcome, losing a lottery talent for nothing in return. Worse yet, under the qualifying offer, Kuminga would gain veto power over any mid-season trade. That would leave the Warriors stuck until next summer, with limited leverage and a potentially disgruntled player on the bench. A scenario where Kuminga plays out the season, feels underutilized, and then walks away in 2026 with no return would be a devastating blow, both in terms of roster value and public optics. It would also raise serious questions about Golden State's ability to develop and retain young talent in a post-dynasty era. A compromise still possible. Despite the tension, there is still room for compromise, if both sides are willing to budge. The Warriors could restructure their offer to include a partial guarantee or player option in the second year, offering Kuminga some control over his future. Kuminga, in turn, may need to lower his financial expectations slightly or prioritize the right basketball situation over the biggest paycheck. What's clear is that both sides have too much to lose to let pride or posturing get in the way of progress.